Hello, welcome students. Welcome to all. Today we are going to discuss about the topic called vectors. Before going to inner side of the topic, first we learn about the scalar and a vector. What is scalar and what is vector? What are the differences between both of them? First we study about scalar. Scalar is a quantity which has magnitude but it doesn't have direction. That means it does not specify any direction. It only have magnitude. For example for scalar is work. Work doesn't specify any direction, but the magnitude is specified for the work. Work is 10 joules. Speed is also a scalar quantity. It has no direction. It doesn't specify any direction. 10 kilometers per hour is a magnitude of the speed, and the distance only specifies the magnitude but no direction, so it is also a scalar quantity. That means distance is equal to 10 kilometers. And after that, what is vector? First we studied about scalar, now we are going to study about vector. What is vector? Vector which has both the magnitude and as well as a direction. It specifies magnitude as well as direction. Some examples. Force is 10 Newton east. For the force, the direction has been specified, will be specified. That means the force is a vector quantity. And velocity is 10 kilometers per hour north. Here the direction is specified for the velocity, so velocity is a vector quantity. And displacement 10 kilometers north. So the direction is specified. That is the reason these three quantities are vector quantities. Now we are going to learn about the representation of a vector. How we represent a vector? Now here is a diagram that shows an arrow. Vector is denoted as arrow. An arrow has head, tail and the length between head and the tail. Why we are showing vector as an arrow? Why? Because the head specifies or head represents the direction of the vector quantity, and the length of the arrow represents or specifies magnitude of that vector. For example, how we denote the vector? Vector is denoted like this. A means acceleration. Acceleration, above it there is an arrow mark. That means it's specifying that acceleration is a vector quantity. That is equal to 10 meter per second square. Now we are going to learn about types of vectors. How many types of vectors are there? There are 9 types of vectors. First one is equal vector. What is equal vector? Equal vector means the direction and magnitude of two vectors are equal. Their magnitude and the direction both are equal. That is called equal vectors. Next, unequal vectors. What do you mean by unequal vectors? There are 3 chances for becoming an unequal vectors. First chance, direction is same but magnitude is not same. Next, direction is not same, magnitude is same. Next, direction as well as magnitude both are not equal, not same. For these 3 conditions, the 2 vectors will be unequal vectors. What do you mean by parallel vectors? Parallel vectors means the vectors which are parallel, like this. These types of vectors are parallel vectors. They should be parallel to each other. That means the angle between vectors should be 0 degree. If the angle between two vectors is 0 degree, then that two vectors are called parallel vectors. What do you mean by anti-parallel vectors? If the parallel, if the vectors are parallel, then they are parallel vectors. If the vectors are not parallel, that means they are anti-parallel vectors. That means the angle between two vectors will be 180 degrees each other. They travel in opposite direction. That vectors are called anti-parallel vectors. What do you mean by collinear vectors? Collinear vectors means the vectors lie on the same line. The vectors which lie on the same line are called collinear vectors. What do you mean by coplanar vectors? The vectors which lie on same plane. For example, there is an xy plane, there is an yz plane, there is an xz plane. There are three planes. The two vectors can be coplanar, will be coplanar. Definitely, the two vectors will be coplanar. Two vectors will be coplanar. That means they lie on same plane. But three vectors may or may not be coplanar. Three vectors may or may not be coplanar. They may coplanar, they may not be coplanar. Why? Because two vectors lie in one plane and another vector can lie on another plane. For example, two vectors lie in xy plane and another vector can lie in xz plane or yz plane. In that condition, we can't say that three vectors are coplanar. Two vectors are coplanar, but another vector is not coplanar. So that is the reason two vectors will be coplanar, but three vectors may or may not be coplanar. Concurrent vector. What do you mean by concurrent vector? That vectors which starts from same point. The vector which starts from same point are called concurrent vectors. What do you mean by zero vector, null vector? The vector which has magnitude 0, magnitude is 0, but direction is arbitrary. There will be, the vector can have any direction. The vector can be acting towards any direction. It can act in any direction. That vector is called zero vector or null vector. The ninth one is unit vector. The unit vector's magnitude will be 1. This unit vector is useful, or this unit vector is used to show or represent the direction of the vector. We have x and y axis. In this axis, there is a unit vector, that is here its magnitude is 1. So, this unit vector represents the direction of the x-axis. Here there is another unit vector. This unit vector represents the direction of y-axis. So, the unit vector is meant, its work is to denote or represent direction of the given quantity. That is the use of unit vector. These are the types of vectors. Now we are going to discuss about parallel shift. What do you mean by parallel shift? The vector is being shifted parallelly. The vector is being shifted parallelly. I will write here. The vector is being shifted parallelly. It is being shifted parallelly. That means we have to shift the vector in its parallel direction. It can be from down to up, or it can be side to side, from one side to another side. we have to shift the vector parallelly. Now here is the vector, I am shifting it parallelly up to here, I am shifting it up to here, I can shift up to here. This is the shift, that is parallel shift. And next I am shifting this vector here to here, so this vector is shifted here to here. This is called parallel shift. If I have a vector like this, it is the axis, that is x axis, it is the axis, that is y axis. I want to shift to upside of the upward side of the vector. I want to shift upward. Now I am shifting it upward like this, like this, like this. I am shifted this vector to here. So it is. These three types of shifting is called parallel shift. This is about parallel shift. Now we are going to learn about angle between two vectors. What is the angle between two vectors? The angle between two vectors is the angle between tail and tail, or the angle between head and head. You should not calculate the angle between head and a tail. It is not the angle between two vectors. The angle between two vectors means the angle between tail and a tail, or the angle between head and a head. Now let us see some of the examples for this type of issues, that is angle between two vectors. The first example or first question, what is the angle between these two vectors? Here we can see the angle is present in between the tail and a tail. So what is the angle between a tail and a tail? That is theta equal to 90 degrees. This is the angle between tail and a tail. Here we can see the second question, what is the angle between the two vectors? Here they have joined the head and the tail of the second vector, and they wrote that the angle between these two vectors is 120 degrees. If you see this, you will think that the angle between these two vectors is 120, but that is a wrong answer. What you have to do here? We have to do parallel shift. What we have to do? We have to do a parallel shift. See, here I am drawing this vector, that is A bar. Here is the B bar before 120 degrees. Now I am shifting this B bar to upward from here to here. What is angle between these two vectors? Now I have shifted this vector towards upside. The total angle is 180. So this theta will be theta equal to 180 minus 120. We get 60 degree. Theta is 60 degree. This is the angle between two vectors. Now here the third question is. The third question in this figure, we can see that two heads of the two vectors are being joined, and the angle given is 60 degree. According to the rule, what is the rule? The angle between two vectors is the angle between tail and tail or head and head. Here in question itself, they gave that the angle between two heads. So the answer will be theta is equal to 60 degree. Here the fourth question is. The fourth question, in the fourth question, you can observe that the first vector, this is A bar and this is B bar. The first vector head is being joined to the second vector tail. Now what we can do? Just shift parallelly upward. Here I have shifted the vector. Here there is the another vector. Here is the first position of the shifted vector. The angle is 150. What will be the theta? The total angle will be 180. Theta is equal to 180 minus 150. So theta will be 30 degree. This is all about angle between two vectors. Now, we are going to end this lecture by this challenging question. I request you to pause this video and let you try it once. It will be a best check for yourself, best test for yourself. I am going to beat this challenge. I am going to chase this challenge. How? We learned that we can shift the vector parallelly. Now, this is the vector A. The question is, find the angle between A and B, B and C, A and C and A and D. For finding the angle between the vectors, firstly, I am going to shift this A vector to here. So, I am rubbing this A vector. Here is the old place of the vector. I am shifting this to here. Here is the vector A. The first question is, what is the angle between A and B? We can give the answer simply. That is, angle between A and B is 90 degree. Angle between A and B is 90 degree. 90 degree. After, the question is, what is the angle between B and C? Here is the B, here is the C. Angle between B and C will be 90 plus 30, that is 120 degree. What is the angle between A and C? A and C is 30. Angle between A and C is equal to 30. Now, what is the angle between A and D? What is the angle between this? The total angle between this is 180 degree. It is 180 degree. Here 60, here 30. On adding both of these, we get 90. These two added up gives 90. So, 180 minus 90 gives 90. Here it is a right angle 90 degrees. So, they ask the question, angle between A and D. What is the angle between A and D? Here is A, here is D, here is 30, here is 90, gives 30 plus 90 gives 120 degree. This is all about parallel shift and angle between two vectors. In next class, we are going to study about addition of vectors. Next class, we are going to study about addition of vectors. Okay. Stay tuned to our channel. Please like, share and subscribe. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you very much.